Hi, Nick, N9SJA here, and I'm doing a short video today on the WaveNode WN-2 RF station monitor. This is a great RF station monitor, watt meter, tells you a lot about what's going on with your transceivers and SWR, RF power out. Really a great setup. I've owned power meters from Power Master and Daiwa and the like, and I can tell you this is really the best one that I've ever owned. You can see that right here is the WN2 unit, and this device will connect to your computer via USB. See the little blinking USB light, it means we have a connection. It also has an LCD screen for standalone operation, so you don't have to connect it to a PC if you don't wish. It can connect up to 4 sensors. The sensors on the unit range anywhere from HF to SHF and have a varying power range to them, so you can get one that will accommodate your needs most likely. I own 4 of the sensors. I own 2 HF sensors that are up to 60 megahertz from 1.8 megahertz to 60 megahertz, and they will do 2,000 watts. The third one is a similar sensor. It does 1.8 to 60 megahertz, 2,000 watts, but also has a connection for an oscilloscope. And I use that on my test station when I'm testing various radios. I thought it'd be great to be able to connect it to an oscilloscope for additional data. The 4th sensor I have is a VHF UHF sensor, and it's good up to 400 watts. So really, they have more sensors than that, but those are the ones that fit my needs the best, and they're really pretty fantastic. The USB connection will interface with their software, and their software runs on Windows 2000 and above, I would guess. I'm running on Windows 7 64-bit with no problems. The software has windows for the different meters, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, that's the software running on my PC. And you can see the different graphs and how it's set up for the different sensors. Okay, here's the WaveNode main screen, the GUI for the WaveNode WN-2 station monitor. And you can see that there's a lot of different configuration here with the software. See right here, there's a nice place here to put your call sign in. Here are the different sensors. You'll see this one right here is the ICOM IC7600. This is my sensor 1. Here's sensor 2, which is the SPE1KFA amplifier, my 1000 watt amplifier. Sensor 3 is the test station. I have it on my test bench, and it's just kind of a generic sensor that I use to test out many different types of HF radios. And the 4th sensor is connected to an ICOM IC910H, and it's connected to a VHF UHF sensor. On here too, as you can see, that it shows you the forward power, the reflected power, and an SWR calculation. Each one of these graphs is scaled, and that is configurable. You can change that to a custom amount if you wanted to, and there's a user setting here. So instead of making it 20 or 200 or 2,000 watts, you can actually make it 150 if you want that to be the max. Although the ICOM IC7600 is generally a 100 watt amplifier radio, I have it set to 200 watts because it will go over 100 watts, and I just didn't want to max out the graph. On the SPE1KFA, you'll see that I have that graph set to 2,000 watts. Again, It'll do probably 1200 watts or somewhere around in there, maybe 1300 watts if you really push it. But I didn't want to max out the graph by setting it to 1000 watts or something like that. The SWR measurement's really pretty nice. There's a nice little pie chart here that will show you and is used as a kind of a tuning aid. Down here below you'll see the USB connection. This shows that the USB connection is working and the link's okay. There's a dimmer control. Basically when you click this, it turns it kind of a grayish color, which I find to be a little ugly myself, but if you didn't like the bright, kind of the light gray and it's brighter, you can change that. Set the display all peak or all average. Here's the setting for enable voice announcing. It says audio on. There's actually a voice that will come on depending on what your SWR threshold is set to. But if it's, for me, I have this set for a SWR of 3.0 or higher. It will actually come on and with a voice and will announce that your SWR is too high. It's also configurable that it will stop your transmitter by even remotely shutting the power off. Can be done with the logic outputs on the back. But this button right here allows you to reset the SWR once it's been tripped. That warning's been tripped. You just click that button there. You'll see that this is where you set the setting for the SWR, the peak hold time, SWR monitor, and averaging time. This down here will show the DC voltage and the logic outputs and inputs that are on the back. And basically how the inputs and outputs work is they're configured for a logic, for example voltage, that says if this pin has a voltage to it, it's high. And so on the GUI here it'll turn green and it will trigger the logic output to do something. And you can connect certain things to these outputs, maybe a relay that would shut off your PC or your transceiver, or maybe a PC or something like that. I don't use those, but I could think of a lot of neat uses for those. Also from up here at the menu, there's a lot of different built-in applications, if you will, that are built into the main screen. There is a spectrum analyzer for your modulation or audio. There is a sensor voltage scope. That's what the scope is. There's a rotator control. The horizontal and vertical bar will show these power measurements in a simplified bar, either vertically or horizontally across your screen. And this is so that you're trying to arrange it on the screen to get a better view, and you have other applications open maybe that you want to see, like maybe your PSK31 digital software or HRD or something like that. Alright, now let's go ahead and let's test out the sensor one for the ICOM IC7600. I have a dummy load connected, and we're going to dial it down to, let's see here, probably about 10 watts or so. And I'm going to go ahead and transmit into the dummy load so you can see it in action. Here we go. Let's see, 7.5. Let's dial it up to, there's 11 watts. And you can see that I've got the amplifier going as well. And on this side of things, you'll see that I'm transmitting 11.2 watts. And on this side, I'm transmitting 467.5 watts. That it's actually coming out of the amplifier. You'll see that I'm also got hardly any reflected power because I'm on a dummy load. Go ahead and release that. I do have it connected this way so I can monitor individually the power on this if I decide not to use the amplifier. It'll just show me the RF power going out. If I turn on the amplifier and select the operate mode, then the amplifier will transmit and into the other sensor and show me the RF power, my actual RF power out there. The test station has a sensor on it that also has a BNC connection for a oscilloscope, and I thought that was kind of a nice added feature. I have not used it yet, but I thought it would be nice should I want some additional data on maybe a radio that I'm testing on the test bench. On the display, you can see that it shows the peak RF power measurement, an average RF power measurement, and the reflected or SWR power measurement. The sensor that it's monitoring right now. So right now we're on sensor 1, and I got my transceiver, an ICOM IC7600, connected to a dummy load, and let's just see. Let's just adjust the power here and transmit and see what it shows on the display. There we go. That's about 60 watts. According to the WaveNode, it's 59.2, fluctuating a little bit. And it's showing me an average output power of 57.5 watts with a 1.0 or 1.1 SWR. Unkey it there. Additionally, I also have my SPE1K-FA amplifier connected to the second sensor. So if I turn on the amplifier, adjust the power down a little bit as an input into the amp. There's the power that I'm transmitting to the amplifier right there. 9.0 watts, 7.4 watts average. Unkey. I'm going to select the second sensor. And there's the power that I'm actually transmitting out of the amplifier. 339 watts, 332 watts. I've got a dummy load that's good up to a kilowatt for 30 seconds, I believe it is. So we won't want to stress that too much. I got the fan running, so hopefully it's not too noisy. The WaveNode is an excellent addition to your shack. I can highly recommend it. I do have a few gripes about the window movement and resizing the windows a little bit. The software, it would be nice to be able to customize it a little bit, maybe skin it. But other than that, it's really well done. And the guys at WaveNode are fantastic. I did have a little problem connecting it to my PC. I had a conflict with another device, so I called Alan at WaveNode, and he was really, really helpful. I mean, they really are great guys there, and would highly recommend buying anything from them because they really do back up what they sell. Well, that's my review, so to speak, of the WaveNode WN-2. Thanks for watching.